On this episode of Modern Greaser, we have a mysterious car underneath this cover, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. Not yet, anyways. This car is modern and greaser.
This car was made famous by movies like American Graffiti and movies like Two-Lane Blacktop, and there's current shows today that still feature this car. Hint, hint, and hint.
This car has kicked my butt the last 2 days because I've been working on it trying to put a neutral safety switch, and lo and behold, it has a very complex computerized transmission sync up, yet this car is 64 years old. That's your first hint. So it's 64 years old, yet the motor out of it is a fuel-injected Corvette engine. This car also has a 4L60E transmission out of a Silverado.
One of my favorite references in popular culture is from the movie American Graffiti, where John Milner and his yellow Deuce Coupe yell out to the owner of this mystery car and calls it a field car. A field car? What's a field car? Well, a field car runs through the fields and drops cow crap all over the place to make the lettuce grow. Well, that can't be your car. That must be your mama's car. All my car guy mechanic friends growing up would exchange these lines from American Graffiti back and forth. So if you have not gone and seen the movie, go see it, because this mystery car was one of the stars of the show.
It actually has a hood ornament on it. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? I don't know. You're gonna have to decide. That might be a subtle hint.
Have any guesses yet? Maybe the owner of Finnegan Speed and Marine ring a bell? Maybe he's from some popular, used to be on YouTube show, but now is on exclusive pay month per month to watch the show on Motor Trend On Demand guy.
So I'm very excited about this episode because there's going to be our first car from the 1950s on it. And there's nothing more greaser than a car from the 1950s. And what's even cooler about it is that this car from 1955, there you go, I'll give you the year. All right, so now you get to determine what it is.
Two-Lane Blacktop is another movie you need to check out. This is a car that Finnegan built his gasser off of. Well, there's another clue and a half. I don't think anybody really knows what this movie is all about, other than there's really cool car stuff and racing and driving across the country, and it's old and it's cool.
This car has power roll-up windows. It has a vintage air AC system on it. It has all kinds of new up-to-date modern features. However, this car is 64 years old. What in the world could be underneath here? Well, I tell you what, it's one of the most iconic classic cars.
Hopefully you guessed it by now, but you are looking at a 1955 Chevy Bel Air two-door post car. And this thing is one bad mamba jamba. And I don't just go throwing the word bad mamba jamba around. I save it for special occasions, and this car definitely demands that word. This thing is wicked cool. Alright, you're going to need to get as close to the computer screen as you possibly can, because I'm about to throw some knowledge at you and you're going to want to catch it. Ready for this? The 55 Chevy was the first successful Chevrolet with a V8 engine, which would soon to be known as the small block. This is where the small block came from. This car was the Queen Bee. The small block crate engine you buy today has received various changes to be modernized, but the basic design has remained the same since 1954 when the 265 was born. In 1949, Ford released the shoebox design, which GM and Chrysler were slow to adopt. In 1955, Chevy went full shoebox on their car, and it included the wraparound glass and taillights that jutted outward. The aesthetic changes along with the V8 made the car a huge success. The style was carried over to 56 and 57 with some additional alterations, earning the 55, 56, and 57 Chevy the nickname Tri-5 for being revolutionary and having a cult-like following. Steve's 55 is one of the coolest examples of the 55 Chevy because it's super drivable. It has the modern convenience of a fuel-injected engine. It has safety features like disc brakes. It has comfort features like air conditioning, power windows. All those things add up and they're great. You have this cool looking car. You still want to keep it out of the rain, you still want to keep it out of the bird poop, but it's awesome. Another major advancement was going from a 6-volt to a 12-volt electrical system. If you have ever owned a 6-volt car, you know how big of a deal this was. The 6-volt systems were an absolute nightmare. With 12 volts, the 55 could have air conditioning, power windows, and power seats. So when I said that it was a mystery car, it had all these options, you're like, wait, how could this car be 64 years old, right? It's crazy. This thing came from the factory with that. Well, I mean, if you had the money to spend. There were so many options available that others often referred to the car as the Chevy's little Cadillac. Someone who set up a 55 Chevy as a hot rod likely had the Chevy 150 model. The 150 model spanned from 53 to 57 and offered a no-frills basic package that was fleet-oriented, meaning it was used for government use such as police, and most importantly, no frills meant the economy-minded hot rodder dug this car and used it for their hot rods. The 150 model lacked options like ashtrays, mirrors, and came in stark trim with solid colors and had plain heavy-duty upholstery. With the growing success of the V8, in 1957 a full race-ready version known as the Black Widow, equipped with black and white paint job, 4 heavy-duty brakes, 6-lug wheels, and dual shock absorbers hit the streets. It would be a real swell deal to get your mitts on one of these bad boys nowadays. So you were telling me earlier that your clock is right 2 times a day, huh?
Twice a day.
4 o'clock? That's almost right. Is it right now? What time is it?
It is. It's almost 2 minutes to 4.
Cool. So
it will be correct.
Beautiful.
4 in the afternoon and 4 in the morning.
Maybe you have seen John Chase from Hoonigan's Try 5 by Fire. Now that you know what the Try 5 is, it makes a little more sense. John Chase reported that he was influenced by the 55 seen in American Graffiti. Later on, he would see the Two-Lane Blacktop movie and realize that they were the same car. These 2 movies had a huge impact on everyone. I've never heard Mike Finnegan mention American Graffiti, but he has mentioned Two-Lane Blacktop as being a huge influencer on his 55 Chevy Gasser build. I think the best thing about both American Graffiti and Two-Lane Blacktop is there's just gratuitous amounts of really cool old classic cars and a different time in history. There's not really a big point to either movie. I mean, I guess you can really point out different things of either one, but the best thing is there's just car guys love these movies because you see these cars in action, you hear them, you see them, and it's incredible. And that's what we love, and that's why we build these cars, because we're influenced by them. Simple as that. Without giving away the ending of the movie, foreshadowing takes place as John Milner walks through the junkyard in American Graffiti and talks about all the hairy crashes that took place. The same thing occurred with cars in the 50s, as we were just starting to learn about the different safety standards that needed to be improved on cars. As you can see in this safety crash test video, Chevy decided that it was smart to jump a 55 Chevy through the air, because that's how normal crashes happen, and that it could drive away after this. This was because they improved the structural arch of hidden boxes now in the bumper design and provides extra strength against careless drivers. You can also see this other example of a Tri-5 that looks like it's going down a roller coaster track. Steve mentioned that his 55 Chevy was one of the most dangerous cars that were produced because the hood actually comes up in an accident and comes through the windshield and hits the driver. Later on, we're driving around in his car and I kept thinking about it. I go, Steve, do you ever think about that windshield coming up through the window and cutting your head off and all that? And he's like, no, man, you can't think like that. Man, what a smart guy. You can die from anything. I could die from rolling up a ball of aluminum foil right now. You can't worry about stupid stuff like that. And in fact, I feel safer driving my old car because I'm going slower and I'm being more cautious. I feel more dangerous when I'm driving my newer car because I'm driving faster and I feel it's safer, and it's kind of a false sense of security. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of Modern Greaser, and we'll catch you on the flip side.